Hi everyone, this is clip 2 of my Echo base level. Now the first clip we obviously did the run through of the entire level, showing you all the elements and all the different sections that we've got in there. Now what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to break these clips down into smaller little sections regarding on different elements of building the entire level. I didn't want to do the whole thing and condense it down and then there's only maybe a key bit that you want to learn, so I'm trying to break up into small little parts and hopefully you're going to make it easier for you to follow. So what we're going to do in this particular video is to describe how we get the base constructed in the format that we've done. So we're basically looking at just the walls, how the walls are laid out, how I've actually mapped that out, how I've constructed that size, thinking of the size of the mission and what we're planning to do and where I've got my ideas from, and for you to build the base. The next clip that follows from that is going to be regarding how the door mechanics work with the keys, how they move through, and we've got various stages through it. Then there's another one to do with the fire, then there's how you cut the power. So they're broken down in stages and I'm going to be releasing them all this week and hopefully get them all finished by the weekend. I'm up to 5 already and I'm just finishing the voiceover bits and pieces and just tuning them correctly. So I'll try and pick a different Star Wars character for each little intro as I explain what I'm going to do. But more importantly, the first thing we need to talk about is how you can build this actual map. Now on the actual YouTube page you should see a link there to a PDF, a document there that you can download, and that is actually the plans of this level. So it's a diagram showing the layout, and we're just going to show you that up in a minute. So you need to try and grab that and download that so you can build the whole section. Now one of the things I didn't want to do was bore you and build every single box as we go through. What you can do is look at the map and see how I pulled that together. So if we just stop the gameplay for a moment and then we'll get building the map and going from there, okay? So this is an aerial view of the map, and as you can see there's lots of little elements in there and you don't want to get sidetracked with those. All we're worried about now is just the layout and the form, all the little extra bits we put on at the very end once the logic is complete. Okay, so we must do that first. So this is the map you can download, and the map allows you to give you focus of what you're trying to build. One of the cool features of Disney Infinity is probably one of its own handicaps, and that is that you get sidetracked on building things, and you either make it too complicated or you never actually get to finish off what you want to do. So the map I created here was to give me focus, and so I can work out what I wanted to build. So if you load up a brand new toy box, in my case I've loaded up my master template which has got the text matrix. Now if you weren't able to download this, there's nothing you can do about that, but I will want to add text prompts throughout my gameplay. I've shown you that it works without the text prompts, but sadly if you haven't got this then you're not going to be able to add any more text, so that's a bit of a shame. So what you'll see here is I've just gone to the basics blocks and I'm taking those 3 blocks. Now those 3 bricks there, they're the ones that you'll see on the map that fill the whole border side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start building the top left hand corner, and see, as you'll see, I'm just putting it across, and if you have the map in front of you printed out, you can see that these blocks, how I'm printing it, although it's the corner, I'm actually doing the top left hand corner of the map. So I'm just positioning where these go, and by planning these areas out you'll find that you won't lose track of what you're trying to do. What we try and do here is we try and do little sketches and drawings and work out what do we want to try and do, and then we'll have a little dabble and play around with it. But like I say, sometimes I'm sure with all those that play Disney Infinity, you've gone to build a level and you just lose hours and hours and you haven't even got any logic in there, you just don't get what you think the level's going to be. There's so many ones that I started never finished. Right, anyway, what we're going to look at doing here now is the doorway. Now the doorways are actually going to be low, so just so I know what a door is, you'll see everything else is on one level but the door is on the section down below. That is a good way, a little prompting where those doors are going to like get you to stand out. So as I'm going building these little box in here, and you'll use the squares and the triangle pieces, yeah, the doorways are sunken down on the screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just jump back at the map and look at the top left hand corner, and so far what we've built should match that perfectly, what we've just done. So there's the corner there. Let's jump to the map. And if you look at that top corner, those yellow sections are those doorways, and they're the ones that we use sunken down. Okay, so you need to do the same with yours. Now what I've done now is I've just sped through on the map now as I've built the other blocks. I've just gone through carrying on building all the shapes. This is now the end side of the map, and I think the mapping is just under 20 blocks, so 20 long and 20 deep, so I think that's probably as big as you can go on the PS4. I don't know on other consoles, but about 20 should be okay. Okay, so we're now going to do the hangar doors, and because they're the hangar doors, they're lower, so we're going to put these sections on the lower for the doorways. Set those up, and this is where we're going to put in the transporters. So just put these blocks in. So we've got the little blocks in. Well, I'll be colouring all those little sections across. And I say, look at the map, and we're just plotting where they go. But I tried this a couple of times doing mazes, and what I found is that I just got lost. And without the diagram, I just couldn't. It just never seemed to flow. And if you do a diagram on paper first, you can see that actually, if you were playing this, it's not. There's no options for it. And my biggest concern also was that were the gaps too big? So I did then create a couple of little walls, have a little look to see what the thickness was. So you can try doing that as well. Do little samples and then get your diagram drawn out. Okay, and we're building this through. So this is the doorway where they come through. We'll have this slight little slant. And if you see those squares that have got like 3 squares on the clear one, that's what these diagonal pieces here are for. Okay, what's this now? And now we're coming into the junction point here. So this I'm looking for a doorway. So the doorway is going to be about here, I think, or to the end. I'm just going to sink that straight down. So it's on the floor there. Cool. So there's my doorway. There's my little hanger. And then I can do the next hanger door, which will be these 3 sections, 3 bricks. And just to prove a point also, I measured them up. So I put how many bricks are there to a transporter. So if I change this here and just get the transporter out, I measured it up correctly, and then you just have to double check. So if I go back to my toy origins, and we'll go through to the Rise Against the Empire, which is by far got the best ones, and they just show here's a transporter just to prove a point. They do fit in there nicely. So just using the basic shapes, that's all I'm going to do. And don't bother colouring it in yet, by the way, we'll cover that in a moment. But just put the shapes across, 2 transporters work, and we're just going to carry on filling just the base level of our bricks. So back to our basic shapes, and get one of those blokes and get finishing. So there we go, we've now got the whole map laid out, okay, and that's checking that I haven't missed anything, and all the doorways are sunken through on the list. Yeah. Now I played around with the little test models, and I realised that the bricks need to be certain height because your character can jump, and I didn't want it to be any higher, and I didn't want to be able to see other areas. So I found out the perfect height really was actually about 3 bricks. So now once you've got the layout all done and you've checked that it works, we're now going to have to stack it up by 3. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is go through each way. Now we leave the doorways as they are, so we don't touch the doorways anymore. So that's fine. But basically we're going to just give the level, raise everything by 3 blocks. Right, that's as far as you need to go, and we just go through now and just carry on filling all this in. And then hey presto, that should be left with that particular model. So you are now got the whole map done with the height that you need. And now I say I played around with it. The height too was good because even with 2 bricks, your guy can jump over it, but they can't jump over 3. Yeah, and if we put a little barrier block on the top, that will stop on the screen. And for all the logic we did, I don't think you can go much bigger than this size for the detail we were trying to do. It's quite a big map, so it's not too bad. Considering, by the way, and the reason why you can't go bigger than this is because I've got all the blocks in. There's quite a large number of blocks inside there. Yeah. So what we can do now is we can look at just reformatting now we can say, right, let's change the walls. Yeah, now we've got the bricks all in place. Yeah, what we'll do now is we'll click onto the brick and do the triangle, and we'll go across the ground and choose our different textures. And the one we want is the echo base one. It's somewhere along here. Dun, dun, dun. There you go, echo base, hot echo base, and we do theme all. So press triangle to theme all and apply that, and say yes. Okay, and that goes through, and it's quite a fair number of bricks. Right, so that every one of those goes to our snowy wall type surface. Now the cool thing with this level is you could change the thing, not use snow, use tiles, and make it an indoor base. You can quite quickly adapt the level quite easily on the screen. I did find that this though did take a while to change it. Right, now the one thing we are going to change are the doorways. The doorways, I need to let the user know that these are doorways and not bricks. So one little pattern I saw on here that was quite good, and I always wondered how I was going to use this texture, but this was quite a good one. Is the stripy one. Get there in the end. Right, so there's the stripes. So you press the thing. Now in this case I don't do set all, I just click the apply. So the one brick is now changed, and that's the doorway. And I'm going to do that now with every doorway on the map. So I'm just going to go through each of these sections now, press triangle, and so do not press triangle because I don't want to theme it all, so I just press the X to apply and go through ones, but do not press the triangle, otherwise all the walls will change. You go through, press triangle to select the palette, and then when you go into thing, press X to apply it. Yeah, so while in spark mode, point to the doorway, you press the triangle to get to the list. Careful not to press triangle again, because what tends to happen is that you tend to swear quite loud. Well, I tend to do anyway when I get it wrong. Okay, and we'll just go through now and just do all the doorways. So I've got all the doorways with the stripes, so everyone knows that's the door. So I'll just speed this section up as well. So the doorways now are all complete. They've all got their stripes in there, which is quite cool. So that's good. And we've got the hanger doors, all got the doorways on, which is awesome. Now you'll see there the bit with the if you watch the previous clip, there's a number of doorways that I have with Darth Vader's clip, and there's a little change in there, but we'll come back to that later. I think it's about clip 5, but let's worry about that later at the moment. So all the main doors are sorted, all the ones that we control are sorted. Yeah, so that's our map. So what we're going to do now is we now need to fill in the ground. Yeah. So we can go to our terrain tool. So if you go back to your filter, choose terrain, and look for some blocks, and you now painstakingly go through and fill it all in. Now one thing I have noticed is by moving the boxes in different shapes, if you fill them snow, you'll get like a slightly different texture at different places. I wasn't too bothered about that, but if you want to, make sure you all have to be the right way. If you rotate your blocks, it'll give you a different type of effect. But basically I'm just going to line it up to fill this box in, okay, and make sure it touches the actual wall. You can see everything lines up, and then place those in those boxes here, and I've just lined up different doorways. Yeah, and I've got different boxes here I can do. Some are larger than others, that fits in a bit neater. And like I said, I'm just now going to fill in as much of the land as we could do, and you should be able to fit all the land in there. So there are a number of different shapes, enough to get you in. And there was different sizes I wanted. I wanted them all to be the same thickness. So I think there's 3 I used: the reasonable square one, and there's a little chunky square, which is this one here. And there's a slightly thin, longer piece as well. So I wanted you to see just how I put those sections together, right? It allows you to then to go and fill that item off. And like I mentioned, I haven't shown you me to fill in the whole landscape in. You can see that's what I'm going to be doing. But you can go through, find the individual shapes, and fill those segments up. Okay, and then once you've got that done, you've got the base the level ready to then start looking at your logic. Now those that you've just come at this particular stage, it's not much of a clip, it's showing you an image stage, but I wanted to do, I wanted to break out in little stages so you can jump back and look in certain areas, because I know a lot of you are going to want to focus on the door element, and the door element's going to take a little bit doing, so you may want to replay that again and again. So if I keep them in small little sections, when you look at the doors, that is the next one that we're going to be doing. So the next one is to how to unlock doors. So we'll shove that out the following day. I've just got to finish off the voiceover for that. But as you'll see here now, is we're just getting the little door levels, and we're getting all different shapes and mixing it up so we can get it to fit in. Now what I'll do is I'll speed up time again, and then that should show you what the whole map should look like. But theoretically your foundations are now set, and we can now look at adding all the various logical bits to it. So there you go, there's the final piece in, and that's what your map should now look like. Now it's a small clip, I hope you're liking it, I hope it's nice to follow. The next one's out should hopefully be tomorrow, and we'll just keep posting them all up to the weekend. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll keep you posted. Speak to you soon. Cheers.